Now, from CBS News Miami, this is Facing South Florida with Jim DeFede.
Welcome to Facing South Florida. I'm Jim DeFede. Broward schools have gone through a tumultuous run of superintendents in the past 3 years. There have been 6 superintendents. And with the sudden and unexpected departure of Peter Licata because of health reasons, the district is hoping to find some stability in its newest selection, Howard Hepburn. A former teacher and principal in Orange County, he worked with Licata in Palm Beach when Licata was the superintendent there and followed him to Broward, where he held the position of deputy superintendent before getting promoted, and he joins us here today. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
So there's a lot I want to get to, but let's talk about the larger issue of stability. Having so many superintendents over the past few years, not a great look for this for Broward schools. And obviously, we all care about what happened to Mr. Licata, Dr. Licata. It was very sad, and we wish him nothing but the best in terms of his health. But talk to me about how you sort of bring stability to the district now.
Well, first of all, I think the community, the students, the faculty and staff of Broward County Public Schools, they deserve stability. They deserve consistency. And with the challenges that they've faced in the past, it's very important that we move forward in keeping our district focused and prioritize on the right aspects that's going to continue to move the performance for our students. So the transition of me becoming deputy superintendent earlier in the year, it definitely helps us remain stable, remain consistent, and make sure that we're focused on our students.
Now, one thing I do want you to address, because the timing of things, you know, the sudden announcement by Dr. Licata that he was stepping down, and he had announced that he would stay for a while, and then suddenly the board jumped in and appointed you almost immediately. No national search, no search for other candidates. It gave the impression to a lot of people that there was a deal behind the scenes that was sort of cooked and already in place. Address that.
Well, no deal behind the scenes. I think I was shocked. I think the board was shocked, and I think our community members were shocked about learning about Dr. Licata's health situation.
So talk to me about why you think you're the best candidate or the best person to be running the school district.
Well, I think I'm the best person. First of all, I've had the opportunity to become deputy superintendent there, which has opened up the doors for me to meet a lot of community members, really immerse myself with the faculty and staff in schools, really learn the nuances of how our central office works and how we support our community and our schools.
So, you know, in the introduction, let's get to know you a little bit. You know, you started off as a teacher in Orange County and were a principal there. So let's really talk big picture. Why did you want to become an educator?
Well, it didn't always start in education. I actually went to UCF and started as a biology major and wanted to really go out and discover new things. Being an outdoorsman in Florida, growing up here in South Florida in the western parts of Palm Beach County, always outdoors, always fishing and doing all kinds of things outdoors. So when I went to college, I actually majored in biology. At the last second, through a friend of mine making this suggestion, I actually added a couple of courses, education courses, and became a teacher. So I ended up getting a biology education diploma, and then started teaching and fell in love with it. And then some people saw some leadership qualities in me and started opening up some more opportunities. So from there, became a teacher, administrative dean, assistant principal, supporting large district initiatives as an instruction superintendent, supervising principals, and the like in Palm Beach County, and working with Dr. Licata for about 5 of those 8 years in Palm Beach County. You
said you fell in love with teaching. What is it that you love about teaching?
Oh, just the students. When you have an opportunity to help students change the trajectory of themselves and also their families, is second to none. When you see the opportunities that you can create for a family and a student, that completely changes the makeup of their family and just opening up doors they think they could never ever walk through. Those are the shining lights. And right now we're going through graduation season, and having the opportunity to shake thousands of students' hands over the next couple of days, that's our why.
Do you miss the classroom?
Yes, often. I love going into classrooms. I do miss the classroom. That's where the magic happens. Our teacher does do a wonderful job in preparing our students and providing opportunities.
So let's talk about some of the challenges facing the school district. You know, I know that the student population has been decreasing. You have about 50,000 fewer students who are now attending charter schools, 50,000 fewer students who are in private schools rather. So you're losing students. What does that portend? What does that mean? You know, because obviously we also talk about a process of potentially closing closing some schools, and we'll talk more about that in a second. But why do you believe the district is losing students? Is it a sign that the district isn't succeeding in terms of, isn't seen as a good option for students?
Well, I think for a long time we've been, as far as large school districts or any school district in the state or in the country, we've been the only choice. And parents now have a plethora of choices. They can go to charter schools, they can go to private schools, they can exercise their autonomy by using vouchers to pretty much provide the education that they see fit for their kids.
Even homeschool.
And even homeschool.
You can get voucher to homeschool your kids
and
now.
even homeschool. So now it's an opportunity for us to actually compete, to let parents know what we offer, why we offer it, how it impacts their kids and how it impacts their community, making sure we're listening to their needs and providing more innovating opportunities to their students. So we have to compete better.
This was a conversation that I had with Dr. Okada the last time he was on, was how do you get that message out there? It seems as if the district has not been doing enough to sort of sell itself, because it was the only option in town. It was the only game in town. And so it wasn't really highlighting the things that it does better and different than charter and private schools. What's your plan to let the public know exactly what it is Broward schools offer?
We're going through our redefining initiative right now, and part of that is actually going out to the public, listening to their needs, listening to the programs that they want to see in their schools. And then the second part is also us as a district doing a better job marketing and communicating to our parents about what we offer and actually aligning those offerings to what they told us what they want to see in their schools.
Now, because you have 100,000 fewer students than you did before, you've been making cuts to teaching positions. Is that accurate?
No, not really. We have a lot of attrition. Since we're a very large school district, we have a lot of attrition with our teachers. So usually if we lose a teacher, we're gaining a teacher. And so we have so many open positions throughout the year just for the influx of gaining and losing teachers because we're so large. We usually don't have drastic cuts with teachers. So if a school does cut a teacher or a program, we usually have a home for them somewhere else.
Is there a mandate, and maybe I have this misunderstanding this, was there a mandate for every school to sort of cut their budgets?
So we've done some cost savings. We've cut budget in the central office, and we've also cut some budgets at our schools also, just to balance our budgets. But it doesn't particularly impact our instructional realm. We do have vacancies, so if a school loses a teacher, most likely they're going to get picked up at another school that already has a vacancy.
Because some schools have not seen a drop-off in attendance.
Correct.
In size. Are they receiving cuts as well? Because I'm hearing rumblings that some schools that have not lost students are losing teaching positions, and as a result, they expect larger class sizes.
No, it's all relative. So if a school is actually gaining an enrollment, they're not going to see any cuts.
All right. There was a plan that Peter Okada had put forward to close 3 schools, repurpose 9 others. The board didn't seem to like it. There was some controversy, as you would expect when you start talking about closing schools. The board has sort of taken a step back and said, given you the job of coming up with having a new process to go through that. Give us an idea of what that process is going to look like going forward about closing schools or redefining schools.
Right, so we're restarting that process. Right now that process is going to be more methodical and more engaging. We really want to engage our community members, our stakeholders, our students, our staff, our municipality leaders, our civic associations, our faith-based leaders to be a part of this new journey as we talk about redefining. And we're going to bring specific challenges that are unique to their community so we can work together and find a solution that actually increase opportunities for our students.
So one of the things that surprises me is Dade and Palm Beach have both been A-rated school districts. Broward has not been an A-rated school district since 2011. Before we get to what you're going to do about that, I think you have to understand define what the problem was. Why hasn't Broward been an A-rated school district for the past 12, 13 years?
Well, let me first say this. We have some very talented teachers and very talented administrators in our schools. They do a great job preparing our students. I think our largest gap when it comes to not becoming an A school district is our acceleration components. And for the people that's listening, that's mostly about our students who are taking college level courses at the high school level, ensuring that they have the opportunity to enroll in there and also be successful. And also at the middle school level, it's about our students taking high school courses at the middle school level, ensuring that they're enrolling in those courses and also becoming successful as they complete those courses. That's the largest gap between us and Palm Beach County and Miami-Dade when it comes to the accountability system, is that we have a gap in our acceleration component, which we're working on right now.
walk me through that acceleration component, because again, I'm a little confused by it. What exactly is the issue?
So, according to the state of Florida, there's certain, based on certain performance metrics for students, they should be enrolled in an accelerated course. In middle school, it would be a high school course. In high school, it would be a college level course, which would be ACE, AP, or IB, or dual enrollment. We haven't opened the doors to all of those students in the past, and we're doing a better job this upcoming year to ensure that we're opening up the doors, we're providing the assistance that our teachers and our leaders need to make sure those students have successful outcomes in those courses when they're enrolled.
You mentioned before that you've cut central office, which is sort of the administrative.
Correct.
That's the phrase that you use
Correct.
for your administrative staff, is the central office. You cut about 10 million. But one of the questions that gets asked to me sometimes is, if you have the same people in those positions for extended periods of time, should there be changes? If in other words, if the top position, the superintendent, keeps changing, but those positions under him doesn't change, how do you get different results?
Well, hopefully I'm the last superintendent that Broward County looks for a very long time. And like I said, we have some very talented individuals in our schools and also in central office, and we're realigning them into the positions that they're going to actually excel in, and making sure we're focused on our schools and the betterment of our students.
Have you figured out the politics of a school board yet?
We have a really good school board. You know,
are you sure about that? I mean,
yes,
I wouldn't expect you to say anything else, but you know, it's a challenging situation to go from a deputy superintendent to the superintendent and having all those bosses up there that you've got to navigate. How are you going to deal with them, and how do you avoid getting pushed around? Well,
I think our school board members do an excellent job in representing the concerns and the needs of their constituents. Do we have dissent and debate in our school board meetings? Yes, and it's warranted. I would be concerned if we actually have a school board meeting where we're not debating or providing some dissent on issues and coming out with a groupthink mentality. I think at the end of the day, after a school board meeting, we come out with a great product or a great service to our students and our community.
All right. Last thing I just want to ask you is, last year, just before the start of school year, we had a conversation. It was the first time the Broward School Superintendent, the Dade School Superintendent sat together. We did it in Dade County at a Dade County school, and I got a lot of good feedback. I'd like to make you the same offer. You know, if we could do that at the start of this next year, if you will, we're even going to have you host us, if that's okay with you.
Yes, I'll take you up on that offer.
All right. Well, you know, Mr. Hepburn, I really appreciate your coming in, and thank you very much. And we'll talk more, and we look forward to that conversation with Jose Dotris, your counterpart. All right. Okay. When we come back, we'll talk to Congressman Jared Moskowitz. Stay with us. Welcome back. It will take a few weeks to fully gauge the impact of former President Donald Trump's conviction in New York and whether it will alter the dynamics of the election. In the meantime, House Republicans hauled Dr. Anthony Fauci before the Oversight Committee for reasons that had little to do with oversight and a lot more with partisan politics. President Joe Biden, meanwhile, announced a new policy on the border, and there is growing pressure on Israel to accept a U.S.-backed plan to call for a ceasefire in Gaza. There is a lot to discuss, and joining me now is Democratic Congressman Jared Moskowitz. This is the first time we've had a chance to talk since the jury convicted Donald Trump. What's your reaction to Donald Trump now being a convicted felon?
We'll have to see how it plays out, Jim. We have no idea how it plays out in politics, but I will say this. The American justice system is alive. Nobody is above the law, right? He was not found guilty by a prosecutor. He was not found guilty by a partisan judge. He was found guilty by 12 American citizens that sit on a jury, which is how everybody in this country, if they have to go through this experience, deals with. And he's no different. And, you know, at the end of this, regardless what political side you're on, the justice system works. But that is not the message that you get if you listen to Fox News or any of the other right-wing stations, and it's not the message that Republicans have been sending. They've been talking about this. Well, Jim, what do you want them to say? You want them to come out and be like, "Oh God, he's a felon. He's a convicted felon. Everything was fair. It was a perfect hearing." I mean, really, what do you want them to say? Like, let's be honest, right? We live in partisan times. They're going to say it was horrible. It was terrible. It's the worst thing. It's like the Salem witch trials. You know, that's what they're going to do. And by the way, don't get me wrong. my side would probably do similar stuff. We wouldn't go to the length that they're going to. I don't see Fox News saying Hunter Biden, who, by the way, is now sitting in front of a jury of his peers. No one's saying that the DOJ is weaponized against Hunter Biden. In fact, you're not even seeing Democrats taking that nonsense, right? We're saying, look, Donald Trump's not above the law. Hunter Biden's not above the law. And whatever happens with Hunter happens with Hunter. No one's going to try to defund the FBI because Hunter Biden might get indicted.
But there's a danger to what some of the Republicans are saying. I mean, I think of some of the comments by Marco Rubio in particular, comparing this to the show trials that took place in Cuba that led to assassinations. Some of that, I mean, there's partisan rhetoric and then there's dangerous rhetoric. And I'm curious if you think that the Republicans have wandered into the territory of dangerous rhetoric on this case.
Well, I mean, listen, they just do what Donald Trump says. They're like, this is like the movie Aladdin, right? They're all the little parrot. They're all Iago, on Jafar's shoulder, just trying to make the boss happy. That's all they're doing. Okay. Is it dangerous? It's very dangerous. They're out there saying now that when they're in charge, they're going to indict everyone. And it's just going to be about revenge. They're not even talking about, well, look, we'll follow the evidence. If there's a Democrat that did something wrong, then we'll prosecute them. They're not even saying that. They're just saying, no, we're just going to indict people. We don't even know what for, of course. That's dangerous. That's tearing down the judicial system. Marco did say something that I agree with him on. But I'm going to reverse it, which is if Republicans start doing that, then yes, we will never put the genie back in the bottle. That's true.
I do want to push back on the other side of this, though, because it does seem to me, and again, we haven't had this conversation, that if it was anyone other than Donald Trump, I don't see a New York City prosecutor. I'm not suggesting this was coordinated with the Justice Department, but a case that is 7 years old, that has a fairly novel legal approach, I don't think that any other person other than Donald Trump would have been charged in those circumstances. Do you?
Yeah, that may be true. Right? I'm not going to deny the fact that perhaps the case should not have been brought, right? But at the end of the day, this was brought by a state prosecutor. It wasn't coordinated by Merrick Garland or Joe Biden. I love their Joe Biden stuff, right? Sometimes Joe Biden is an international super mastermind, and then the other times he has dementia, right? And so Joe Biden pulling all the strings like a puppet master. By the way, if he was doing that, which he isn't, it would have looked brilliant. But then again, we can't say that because again, Joe Biden's in the basement, right? They like to do this double talk. But this had nothing to do with anything at the federal level. This happened at a state level. And so look, maybe the case shouldn't have been brought. But there are also legal experts that are saying that the DOJ case against Hunter Biden on this gun charge should not have been brought. In fact, they've rarely seen this ever brought against someone suffering with mental illness and drug abuse. And so look, these cases were brought, right? And once they were brought, the question was, what was the evidence? And obviously a jury of Donald Trump's peers decided that the evidence meant that he should be found guilty. I'm sure there are lots of people out there, Jim, that have been prosecuted criminally, civilly, who believe the cases should never have been brought. They'll appeal those decisions, and Donald Trump will try to appeal this. We got to let the justice system play itself out. But this idea that we should defund the FBI, right? So much for backing the blue. We should defund the FBI, right? We should defund the government, right? We should start just indicting our political opponents without even knowing what the evidence or charges are. This is ridiculous. And it's all to please one man.
The building at Marjory Stoneman Douglas is finally going to be torn down. You've led many tours through that building, congressional tours. Talk about this moment. What does this moment mean?
Yeah, obviously, look, it's a mix of emotions, right? I'm sad. I'm happy that, the building won't continue to be there, but also, I think the building has been an unbelievable educational tool. This building should not have still been up, right? The only reason it's still here 6 years later is they used it in the trials to walk the jury through, to recreate the unfortunate, horrific experience that those students went through and those parents and family members had to deal with. And so look, for the families, right? They never get closure. They say, you know, we don't move on, we move forward, is what they say. But, you know, look, this will now be for the folks that are still in the community. They won't have to pass this building anymore. There will eventually be a memorial there. I secured that money 6 years ago in the budget when we passed the Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School Safety Act. But also we have walked county commissioners, sheriffs, school board members, Homeland Security experts, FBI experts, the Vice President of the United States, the Education Secretary of the United States, security experts, state reps, state senators, through that building to learn the lessons of everything that went wrong and what we can fix to help keep our kids safe.
And has anything come from that?
Oh yeah, no. There's been a lot of productive conversations that have come from that, both at the education secretary level, at the Department of Education, and amongst members. Look, Congress doesn't work quick. Let's not pretend like this issue is separate from anything else. In the 118th Congress, we've been the least productive Congress in American history. But no, I've had productive conversations with Republicans because I have brought Republicans to that building. And let's not forget, I give credit to the Republicans on passing the Marjory Stoneman Douglas School Safety Act, which raised the age to buy a gun in the state of Florida to 21, 3-day waiting periods, and red flag laws. Those red flag laws, as you know, Jim, have been used 12,000 times in the state of Florida since the shooting in Marjory Stoneman Douglas, and then hundreds of millions of dollars for mental health and school safety. And the legislature every single year has gone back to the Marjory Stoneman Douglas School Safety Act and strengthened it from a school security standpoint. And I would tell you this, I think Florida is now the leader in school safety. We're doing things here that other states are copying. But, you know, as far as the building is concerned, you know, there'll be a lot of parents that will watch that come down. It's going to be an emotional moment. Obviously, I'm going to try to attend if I can come back from DC. You know, the high school is literally just a mile from my house where I'm at right now. But, you know, it's just another reminder about what happened at my high school. You know, I wear the armbands from the family members that gave them to me 6 years ago now. You know, it's just horrible. You know, I think about it from time to time, you know, each day or every couple of weeks, when I'm reminded about what went on there. It's just like an unbelievable sort of feeling. The one thing that always stuck with me, and I'll end here, the one thing that always stuck with me is that when I was going to the funerals, and the parents were eulogizing their kid, their 14-year-old was in a box in front or behind them. You know, they all said something very similar. And they all said, you know, I did everything right by my kid. I did this for my kid. I did that for kid. I did one thing wrong. I sent my kid to school. And I realized that was not on the parents. That was an indictment on elected officials that had allowed something like this to happen. And so I've dedicated the rest of my political career since then to try to make sure that other parents, other family members don't have to join this exclusive group of individuals that sent their kids to school or their family members, spouses to school, and they didn't come home.
We'll be right back after the break. If you have any thoughts or comments, feel free to contact me at jdefede@cbs.com. I do enjoy hearing from you. Well, that's all the time we have. We'll be back again next week. Thanks again for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.